Alright, so in this video I'm going to go over how to submit your quiz and test answers, and then also how to, more importantly, review your answers, especially on the quizzes, because you can take the quizzes twice, and a lot of times you'll get the same questions, or at least the same type of questions, just maybe different numbers, but the same phrasing and all that. And your test, actually the majority of those questions from your test actually pull from the quiz questions. So even if you get 100 on a quiz, I would still suggest that you take the quiz a second time, just so that you can maybe see some other questions, and then you can really make sure that you nail down that topic before you take the test. You'll see twice as many possible test questions if you do it that way. Alright, so I've gone to the home page here. Now there's a couple different ways that you can access the test or quizzes. I know quite a few students will just click on, the to-do items here, like quiz 5.1 to 5.2 and 5.4. The way that I usually access the tests and quizzes, I actually go to quizzes and tests. And then, I'm just going to pick a random chapter here. So I'm just going to pick chapter 3. And I'm going to pick the first one. You obviously, that's going to change depending on which one you're trying to look at. And then you're going to hit begin. And for this one, I'm going to, just pick some random answers for now. I'll at least make sure that I have one correct answer so I can kind of show you how you can tell if you got a correct answer, incorrect answer. And then once you get to the end, going to hit save and submit. Obviously, on a real test or quiz, you should be completing all the questions. Don't leave anything incomplete. And then you will press OK. Once you press OK, it's going to actually display the basically what time you took it, and if it was past the due date, it'll actually show late, and it'll actually say 0 out of 50 points or 0 out of 100, just because for the late assignments it waits for me to actually override it so that it'll actually submit. But if you scroll through, you're going to notice the first question I missed. That's why I got 0 out of 2.5. The next question I got correct. Okay, so it shows the selected answer, and after the due date of the quiz, it'll actually also show the correct answer. The reason why I have to wait till after the due date is because there's been issues in the past with students sharing their quizzes with other students, and so I only display until the quiz is actually due. I only display the selected answer, the answer that you chose. So in this case, I chose 121. For this, I chose 33, and after the quiz is due, it'll actually show the correct answer, which was 33. But the way that you can easily tell if your selected answer was correct, if you got full credit for it, and obviously it was correct. Okay. If you got a 0 out of 2.5 in this case, then obviously you missed that question. Okay, so let's say I've reviewed it, or I didn't have enough time to review it and I've moved on. If I come back at a later time and I'm wanting to view that quiz, or I want to retake the quiz, again, I can go back to quizzes and tests. Let's see, I think that was chapter 3, 3.1 to 3.5, and then it looks exactly the same as before. I'm going to hit begin. And you're going to see 3 options here now. So this is new. It says 1 of 2 attempts have already been taken. So you can either go back to the class, you can view those attempts, that attempt that you just made, and if you go ahead and click that, you're going to notice that it shows the 1 attempt, and then because this one was late, it's not going to actually show a grade, but it'll show a little exclamation point. And you can either click that exclamation point or that grade number, and it'll actually show the same screen that we saw earlier. Okay, so I'm going to also show you on one where it's not late. So I'm going to go to quizzes and tests. I'm going to show you on, let's pick a chapter 10 quiz. Let's see. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I at least got one answer choice correct. Alright, so again, I submitted that quiz. And you're going to notice this is where it looks a little bit different than the last one I showed you, because this quiz isn't due yet, okay? It's not due till July 5th. So when I scroll through, oh, I happen to have guessed this one correct. You're going to notice the first question says 2.5 out of 2.5. That means what I selected was actually correct. Okay. The next one, the answer was 49,000. It says 2.5 out of 2.5. That means what I selected was correct. For the next one, I didn't select an answer, so clearly it was wrong. Okay. If I selected an answer and it was wrong, it would still show the answer that I picked, not the correct answer. So you would still have to rework it out. Okay, or by all means you could, say, Miss Anderson, can you explain question, in this case 14 on my quiz 10.1. Okay, by all means I will send you back an explanation on that question. Okay, so when you get to the end, if you want to come back and look at it again later, you click back on the quiz 10.1 and 10.4. Again, you hit begin. And let's say I've reviewed my quiz and I'm ready to do another one. I can hit start new submission. And again, it's going to pop up, okay, with different things. I'm going to submit this one as well. And now I can review this last question that last quiz that I just took. So clearly I got 0 right. Okay. But let's say I still want to go back to that first attempt that I took. So I'm going to go back to where I can click on the quiz. So I'm back under quizzes and tests. And you're going to notice when I click on it, I get the same begin screen. So I'm going to hit begin. But now you're going to notice I don't have a button that says start a new submission because you have already taken the 2 allowed attempts. However, if I want to review my attempts, I can click on View All Attempts. And this is where it's a little bit unclear for Blackboard. You actually click on the grade. So this was the second one that I took. I'm going to review the first one. And if you click on the grade, then it actually displays. So it's a little bit different. Okay. Another way that you can actually view the quizzes and tests, if you go to grades, so here's the one, here's one that I took earlier. So I can actually click on it. And then now, when I clicked on that quiz, it actually shows I took 2 attempts here earlier because I was practicing this out myself. And so I've got 2.5, 2.5. I can click on the number and it'll actually display that attempt in my answers. Okay. So if you're still having trouble, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me, and I'll be able to guide you through. Just some other things that some people have questions on with Blackboard. You've got the video lessons, which are basically YouTube links that are usually pretty helpful. I've also got, it's something called Pencast. It's SOL review, and these are actually like audio PDF files of each SOL that we go through, so you can always download that folder. There's also an electronic book. So if you want to see how to use your book, there's a YouTube video. They're done by another teacher. And you can just click on the book, picture of the book, and here's all my chapters. So let's say I was just looking at chapter 4. You can either look at some practice worksheets. These are what the practice forms are. You can also click on Student Edition here. Oh, and apparently I don't have Adobe Flash, so you'll have to make sure that you have that. I apologize for that, not being able to show that up. But if you have Adobe Flash, you'll actually be able to pull the textbook up. Okay. And it'll actually look like, I used to have, here it is. The textbook will actually look like this. It'll just be in your web browser, so you can jump directly to pages as well by just typing them in there. You can also go by chapter. So that's another resource, especially with chapter 4. I know that's a difficult one for some people to see. So you can always go through the book. They've got some pretty good diagrams. They're a little bit wordy with the explanations, but the diagrams are usually pretty good. Okay. So again, by all means, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.